Hey guys, how's it going? I want to make this video just talking about an issue, definitely off topic from the Ukrainian war, but I guess somewhat related, and that is the issue of why NPCs, leftists, whatever you want to call them, those types of people, you know who I'm talking about, not necessarily the socialist, because even the socialists, some of the socialists have come around because the logic and reason was just too overwhelming and the evidence was too overwhelming for them. So now they had to kind of match the worldview a bit with the reality. And the ones who are willing to do that, who are willing to maybe put some previous conceptions aside, like for example, Jimmy Dore is a really big one, as well as Russell Brand, and some people will say that Russell Brand particularly is control the position. I don't think Jimmy Dore is, but people say that Russell Brand might be. I don't know about that, but these are liberal, left-wing thinking people who have changed their mind about certain issues, and you can have a look at their channels if you want to know about what those issues are. And I want to say this, and this is just a general thing about the way our minds work that people might not have thought about, because we rarely think about how our minds work. We kind of think, well, I'm thinking about stuff, I'm sensing things, and that's who I am. But we really have certain distinct functions that our brain does, and one of those functions is to reason things out. So for whatever you do in general, you're going to have a reason come up, because you just have this part of our brain that gives us a reason for why we do stuff. Because if we didn't have a reason for why we do stuff, we become anxious, we become depressed, and if it goes on for long enough, well, it can cause some serious mental issues. And a lot of people that are in the insane asylum are actually people that keep doing things, and that part of the brain that gives them a reason just doesn't give them one. So that's basically like the general kind of explanation of it. But there's this part in our brain that's designed to give us reason for things, and it can come up with any reason. Now, what I wanted to talk about is that a lot of these NPCs and leftists end up being really depressed, end up being really anxious, and they have very neurotic kind of people, right? And that doesn't mean that people who are, on the right or on the correct side of history, or who are red pilled and who are, they're based, whatever you know, call. That doesn't mean they don't suffer with mental illness as well. But you see a lot of people, the NPCs, who are extremely, especially neurotic and anxious. They have all these anxieties and panics and stuff like that. And I think the major reason for that is because the reasoning is conflicted. So, like taking the example of the war with Ukraine, I mean, these people are virulent anti-Nazis, but Ukraine is full of Nazis, and yet the NPC-ness is making them support Ukraine because that's the current thing, that's the thing they've been told to support. Now, their reasoning brain, that part of the brain, needs to come up with a reason for why they're doing that. And they kind of try to say that, the real Nazis is Russia, and this is why they justify it. This is this part of their brain actually working. That's how it does stuff. That's why for people who have a better grasp of the truth, we see that as like that's stupid and that's weird and that's contradictory and totally wrong. So how can you keep saying that? How can you say that Russia is bombing themselves all the time or something like that? That's because they need to come up with reasons in their own brain so they don't stress out. Now, the problem with it is this, is you can only have so many reasons given to you that are contradictory before they start to kind of like equal each other out. So you kind of hold these ideas and all these conflicting things, and just keep jumping from one to the other. But you see people kind of do that to keep themselves sane. Is they'll truly say, I think there's videos of it out there, you can see videos out there, but we will say one thing, and then in the next moment it's like they're a different person and they say the totally contradictory thing that contradicts the previous statement, and they can't compute the two, and that is a self-defense mechanism. The reason why that works is because they're trying to keep those things separate as they can, so they don't become anxious, so they don't become triggered and things like that. You see what I mean? So this is a really interesting thing about just the human brain I wanted to share with you guys, and why it works. And I guess the practical aspect would be of this is well, you have to overload these people with facts. I think that's the only way you can because if you overload them with these facts and they get more and more contradictions, I mean, they'll have to be really they're going to be wasting a lot of energy kind of doing that, and they're going to be totally off in their life and in their thinking, because their brain is constantly, hamster wheeling. That's another phrase that we use to explain this sort of thing. So it's going to create anxiety in them, or if it creates too much anxiety, usually if someone is intelligent, they're basically too smart to fall for their own bullshit sometimes, so they can pick up when they're lying to themselves. And that's, I think, what happened to guys like Jimmy Dore and things like that, and they kind of went into this neutral area where they are more becoming, I guess, more right wing, but they just want free healthcare, which is all right. That's okay. I can meet you there, even as a libertarian. I can meet you at no war and peace and free healthcare, even though that has its own issues. That is actually the reason for a lot of the problems. But it's okay. It's okay. It's not that bad. He's going to a better place, right? So if you overwhelm people with facts, that's what's going to happen to them. Either they're going to get really frustrated and anxious, which is also, I guess, good because it makes them less efficient, or they will break, I guess, quote unquote break, and change their way of thinking. And like, so I've seen people when I talk to people, and man, some people get so frustrated and pissed off just because of what you say, and I think it's glorious. I think people should do it more. And they'll try to make you feel bad about yourself, I guess, and and tell you you're wrong, but it doesn't matter, because if they have any intelligence, if they don't have any intelligence, I mean, there's nothing you can do. But if they have any semblance of intelligence in their brain, that thought can't be thought of. So that's going to start jumping around in the brain from then on, and it's either going to create this anxiety because of how the rational part of our brain works, or it's going to make them change. Either one. Again, the changing part isn't obviously, it first of all doesn't have a timeline of when it's going to happen, plus it's not a guarantee to happen, but this is why it's good to speak out and to share your truth as much as you can. But just remember, these people are going to get angry at you, and they're going to attach this to you. So if you're going to do this with people you're likely not going to have any interaction with in the future, and people that aren't going to try to hurt you, because when people feel bad, they'll try to attack you as well. So just be careful about that. Make sure you do it yourself in a very rational way. Make sure you do it to people that first of all, you're not expending too much of your energy, you're not putting yourself at risk, and you're not going to interact with this person on a daily basis. So don't do it to your co-workers or anything like that, right? Do it to random people you meet on the street if you can. All right, guys, that's all I wanted to share. That's an interesting part of the brain, because I love all this kind of stuff that maybe people haven't heard of, maybe people have heard of. I hope you enjoyed this video, and yeah, all the best, guys. Thank you. Bye.